How are y'all this evening? What's going on?
What's up?
Yes.
Thank y'all for being here, man.
I go by the name of Charlamagne Tha God.
I do not.
Since she doesn't.
By the name of Lena Waithe. I was named for the great Lena Horne. We're here.
You was named after Lena Horne for real?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Do tell.
My mom was very pregnant with me, actually. And she's funny because for neither one of us, she didn't find out, my sister and I, whether we were girls or boys or not. She was like, I'll just get yellow clothes and see what happens. But yeah, she saw, I think, a concert on TV. And obviously Lena Horne was being elegant and classy and amazing. And my mom thought to herself, if this is a girl, if she can have half the class and grace and dignity as Lena Horne, she'll be okay.
Wow.
And it turned out to be a girl, and that was my name.
Did she play like Lena Horne around the house, or like when you was in her belly to like?
She played a lot around the house, and my aunt was a big fan of like just black and white movies. So there was a lot of like, I saw her a lot as a kid, and I didn't really understand the importance of who she was, I think, until I got older. And then also I was obsessed with A Different World, and then they had a whole episode around her, and Jada Pinkett, obviously had my name when her character was named for her. It was amazing. And I remember when like Jada Pinkett came on A Different World like a cat on a hot tin roof. Like she was like, just landed like I'm Lena James. And her like shredded, overalls and her braids, and it was a big thing. Like that was a big moment for me and my family.
Do you come from an artsy family?
I do not. I don't, not really. Or maybe they were kind of artsy, but just kind of never pursued it. You know what I mean? I think the generations before us kind of had to like get a job. They were like, we need benefits.
Y'all still got to get jjobs.
I know. But I think my mom, it was, we were just talking backstage, it's like, my mom was born into a segregated America. She was born in 1953. You know what I'm saying? And so I think there was this thing about, how she was raised, and look, my grandmother's from Arkansas, and so it's just very much like, to be a good black person means you don't make white people feel uncomfortable. We
don't subscribe to that anymore. White people want y'all to know that.
I kind of broke that tradition, but I think there was this thing of like, you work hard, you get a house, you get a car, everything's cool, and then here I come, this 80s baby, wearing my, crisscross, attire, and wearing the, Afro puffs and rough and stuff, all that kind of stuff, and sort of didn't care, if the energy changed when I walked in the room, and I think my mom was kind of like had to kind of reconcile with that, and it was a journey. It was a journey because I was just like, I'm just gonna be me, and I want to write television, and that was a weird thing. They were like, what does that mean? And I was like, I don't know. I just want to make TV, and then I moved out to LA. But luckily, they always really was supportive. They didn't get it, but they were like, okay, well at least you ain't doing drugs and getting pregnant, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So they were like, all right, that's cool. And so I was just really grateful because they just thought it was like, kind of fun.
Well, what sparked that dream? I was looking at, hold on, let me look at my notes real quick.
Look at you, got your notes, you're official.
The Guardian. You told The Guardian that when you come from a poor background, TV becomes what you dream about.
Yeah.
That's what sparked your TV dreams?
Yeah, I think TV sort of taught me how to dream. I think I always say I grew up in a two-parent household, my mom and the television.
True story.
But and also, and look, and I grew up in my grandmother's house. It's that cliche. We lived with my grandma. It was all right.
You watch all the soaps.
All of it. Days
of Our Lives.
Come on, but my grandmother, she liked Columbo and Hunter. And, she was that kind of person. And she also watched All in the Family and Jeffersons and Good Times. And so I would watch those shows. And I think I really had an appreciation very early on for classic television. Mm-hmm. And I remember, because I knew that the TV I was watching was old. I knew that. But I remember thinking, wow, like my grandmother and I are laughing at this joke that I was written about like 20 years ago, and it's still funny. Right. And I remember thinking, I want to make TV that isn't just funny today, but it's funny 20 years from now. And so I just knew very early that I wanted my art to be timeless.
But to be a writer is very specific, because most kids growing up in the hood, we want to be in front of the camera.
Yeah.
What made you want to write?
I think I knew, because A Different World changed the course of my life. And I think it was something about these characters, like Whitley Gilbert was so specific, you know, her being the Southern belle and who majored in art history and, you know.
How do we grow to love her bougie ass?
I know, because that's what great writing does. It makes you love someone whose, you know, voice sounds like somebody's, you know, fingernails on a chalkboard, you know, and I think we grew to love her because we knew that all she wanted to do was be liked. She was trying so hard to be liked that everybody hated her. You know what I mean? And I think, and even the character of Dwayne, like, you know, him being an engineer and, you know, Patti LaBelle, him coming from a working class family and his, you know, his father being a bus driver and Freddie Brooks being, you know, an environmentalist before it was cool and, you know, Jaleesa being an older woman who came back to school, all that kind of stuff. So it's like, the thing I loved about it were these characters that I can still rattle off these things about them. And I knew, like, I knew that someone was creating that. Someone was creating these characters and these amazing human beings were breathing life into these characters. And I'm really grateful because that was women really doing that show. It was Debbie Allen, it was Susan Fales Hill, it was Yvette Lee Bowser, Gina Prince Bythewood, who wrote and directed Love and Basketball, was a writer's apprentice on A Different World. That's where she met Reggie Bythewood, who went on, you know, who were on New York Undercover, and all things like that. Like, they were young Black people writing about what it meant to be young and Black, and it was just pumping into my living room, and it was a life jacket.
I can tell you read all the credits at the end of the.
I did. I was that person, man. I was that person. So now, I mean, to me, it's God's own favor that, you know, some little kid will be sitting in their living room and see created by Lena Waithe at the end of it.
All right. Absolutely. How many of y'all in here, y'all saw the screening of The Chi, right? What'd y'all think? Y'all liked it?
Y'all fuck with it?
Okay.
It's not the feel-good show of the year, but I hope it's the human show of the year. You know, I hope you see yourself.
You're the, let me get this right, first Black comedy writer? First Black woman comedy writer
to ever win an Emmy for comedy writing in a television series. Yeah.
Gotcha. So the easiest thing to do would be to come out with another comedy. So why something as heavy as The Chi?
Because I don't do anything easy, man. I don't know if I do that. I think a big thing for me is I want to really show that I can write anything. I think that's the mission. You know, I really just want to be unlike anyone else. I want people to not know what my next move is. And I think that's the goal. I think it's about just writing what's in my soul and what's in my spirit and getting it out. And whatever that may be, I hope that people will just want to roll with me and rock with me and be patient with me and go on the journey with me. Because I don't think of it as a journey by myself. I think of it as a journey with these amazing people. It's, you know, it's like if you look at, like, take Angela Bassett, for example, who is phenomenal, and I was very blessed to have her play my mom on the show. It's funny because I told her, I was like, you know, you're a living legend.
Oh, without question.
You know, like, but I said to her, but particularly with the African American community, because you have been in our homes for as long as we can remember.
And looking the same for as long as we can remember.
Looking the exact same. Drinking, I don't know what, you know, virgin's blood or something, but it's like we are a part of her journey. You know, we remember where we were the first time we saw What's Love Got to Do with It. We remember where we were when we saw Waiting to Exhale. We remember where we were when we saw Jackson 5, American Dream, where she played Katherine Jackson so beautifully and eloquently. It's like, it's not just her journey, it's ours. You know, Halle Berry's win was not just her win, it was our win. I feel like as artists, you know, it's not just us by ourselves. It's like there is no Chi without people sharing it and tweeting about it and watching it and sharing their experience. There is no Thanksgiving episode without people saying, have you seen the Thanksgiving episode? Like, no, that's that episode, go to that one. I feel like I share it. This career of mine, this journey of mine, I share it with the people.
Is that a heavy burden to bear?
No. I don't think so. I think it's one that goes with the dinner. You know, I don't think you can be an artist and not touch people, not not talk to them, not hug them, not listen to them. I think that, you know, Lorraine Hansberry isn't writing A Raisin in the Sun without really paying close attention to the culture. You know, Alice Walker isn't writing The Color Purple by just sitting in her house by herself. I think you have to be a student of people, and you have to be of the culture. I think we were just talking about that. Like, we can't be, I don't want to ever be so far away that people feel like they can't reach out and touch me in a way. Because if they can't touch me, I can't touch them. And if I'm not touching them, how can I write them? How can I be a representative of theirs?
Absolutely.
I feel like that's what we are as artists. We represent them, and we're the ones that sort of like put a stamp on this time capsule and say, yeah, this is who we were then. And then we can also write and say, this is who we are now. And that's a big responsibility. But because of that, I gotta listen to the people. I gotta have my ear to the ground.
Intention is very important.
Yeah.
So what's your intention with The Chi?
The intention with The Chi is to remind people that Black people are human beings. Because it's often forgotten.
Especially in Chicago.
Especially, and I think when people dehumanize us, you become desensitized to our deaths. And I think that
don't be afraid to give it up, okay? Just act like you're in church. You get something you like, hallelujah.
You know, I think that my other mission was to prove that little Black boys, particularly, are not born with a gun in the right hand and a pile of drugs in their left. They're born.
Systemic,
They're born with the same amount of hope and joy and aspiration as every other little kid. But I think, you know, the media sometimes there's this trickery. They can even trick us into believing that we are less than. And I think, for me, I've never been a believer of the thing of, oh, you have to show positive images of Black people. I think that's just as much as propaganda as showing only negative images. I think I just want to be as honest as possible. I want to be as truthful as possible. I want to paint Black people with the tiniest paintbrush that I can. So that way, when you look at us, you see everything. You see the flaws, you see the beauty, you see how we praise, you see how we love, you see how we cry, you see how we mourn, you see how we find joy in the darkest hour. And I think, you know, we come from a long line of survivors. And I believe our crowns have been bought and paid for with free labor. So I think, you know, it's like, we come from a people who survived the Middle Passage. Then they survived slavery. Then they survived Jim Crow. Then they survived, you know, the Civil Rights Movement. You know, and now we're trying to survive Trump.
Yeah.
You know, come on. you know. But it's interesting because I think as African Americans, we spend so much time surviving, we don't have that much opportunity to live. I feel like we're always out of breath.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I think, to me, that's why there's a sort of a theme, you know, in the show. There's always running. We're always running. Sometimes we're running towards something, but often we're running away from something. Sometimes we're running away from our family. And when you run away from your family, you're running away from yourself. And there's a lot of me and Brandon. You just swap out being cooking with writing, you know, and there's an element of him trying to look forward and go, you know, and I got the girl from the right side of the tracks at the crib who makes the house a home, and, you know, there's a bubble that we live in. But when the phone rings and it says mother, you know what I mean? It's like the hesitation to answer the phone, but the need to, because I can't run away from her. You know, that's her. I'm a product of her. But, you know, and so it's like, you know, and that's what artists do. I'm dealing with my stuff.
Do you have those issues with your mother in real life?
You know, we used to be closer than we are now. But, and I think, and that's the thing that as an artist, I'd rather deal with on my laptop than in real life. So again, like I say, the journey is with you all. Like this is a therapy session every week when you watch The Chi. And it's a therapy session where I'm alone, you know, just writing. And there's so much, I mean, I grew up with a kid whose nickname was Coogie. I still don't know his real name. But I figured if I but I loved him. Like, I mean, you know, we were like, I played with him all the time in Southside Chicago. And so I figured if I gave that character his name, I would handle him with care. You know, my mother's name is in the show twice. Her full name is Ethel Laverne, you know, and so it's like Brandon Coogie's mother's name is Laverne. Ronnie's grandmother's name is Ethel. And Ronnie, who's named for my uncle, who has since passed away and spent a lot of his life struggling with substance abuse and in and out of jail and would be hanging out on the streets. And I think, you know, I really wanted to make him human because I think if some people walked by him on the street, they would just go, oh, this dude, you know, what a waste. But he was my grandmother's son. He was my mother's brother. He was my uncle. There's a life behind his eyes, and I wanted to show that. And that's why I gave him his name, and he's since passed now, but his name will always live on through a character, a fictitious character. And the same thing with Emmett. You know, some people may know the history, some people, you know, may not, but you don't run the streets of Chicago and not know Emmett Till's legacy.
Absolutely. Taraji's doing that story, by the way.
Oh, to me, you know, always try to speak his name because his lifeless body sparked a movement. He was a sacrificial lamb that we didn't know we needed. And he gave his life so that way others could see just how ugly racism looked.
Do you think that when it comes to like the reality of places like Chicago, they don't want you to create that kind of art? Because like you said, if you don't know about it, then you kind of don't care about it. Or if they dehumanize it, you don't really care about the depths like that. So is it hard to get this kind of art made and like show this real aspect of the city?
Look, it's not the most commercial thing I've ever written. You know, but, you know, and big ups to Justin Simeon, who's the creator of Dear White People and the genius behind it. He's my best friend. I sent him everything first. You know, he's sort of the Baldwin to my Zora. You know, he's my brother, and I always have to send him stuff before I can send it out. And I sent it to him, and he told me, he's like, "This is the best thing you've ever written." He's like, "You have to get it out. You have to get it out into the world." And so, and I sent it out, and there was this immediate reaction. Even though people were like, "We don't know what to do with this, but we want to be a part of it. Like, this needs to happen." And so I was really grateful that it really touched people. But I think for me, it was just so important because so many foreigners have been trying to tell the story of Chicago. And
Spike Lee.
Nah, man, don't come at me. I
Okay.
can't. Here's what I can't do. Here's what I can't do. I can't ever be disrespectful to my elders.
Word.
That's one. And that's what he is. But and also, you know, look, people can say what they want about it. I try not to talk trash just because that's just not my personality. And also, I'm not gonna come down to the man who made Do the Right Thing and Malcolm X and Crooklyn. I watch Do the Right Thing every day for an entire summer. Like, that's how much that script meant to me. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, it's like I had to step up and say, all right, it's time for me to tell this story.
With that said, do you feel the pressure to represent Chicago correctly? Because you don't want to exploit what's going on in Chicago.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, you definitely feel the pressure. I feel the pressure every time I sit down to write anything. But I feel it for like 5 minutes and I got to throw it away. Because then I can't work. You know, I got to be able to tell it my way. Because my way might not be everybody's way. Because somebody may go, oh, I don't see myself in that, or that's not my experience. Okay, then go write your experience and I'll watch it. But I'm not gonna always get everything right. That's not my job as an artist to be perfect. It's not. It's my job to be broken and to write through it. That's my job. So
That makes for great art, though.
absolutely, absolutely. You know what I'm saying? It's like I have to be able to trip up. You know, I got to be able to make mistakes, but along the way, I hope that at least people feel something, because it's my blood and guts and spirit, you know, on the page, and that's all I can give.
How do you think this show will change the perception of Chicago?
I mean, I hope, you know, people have a better understanding of the people of Chicago, and know that we're just working class folk who are trying to make an honest living, who are trying to raise our kids, who are trying to go to church when we can, who are trying to do the right thing. And the truth is, there's a lot of crossroads in Chicago. And, you know, a lot of us stand in front of them and don't always know which way to go. And sometimes we go the wrong way. And then sometimes it's about us trying to find our way back. But it's also about every life being valid. Because I think there's this weird thing of, you know, particularly with the first, and I knew when I sat down to write it, I was like, I'm gonna start this with a dead black male body. I knew that was gonna be, you know, something you would see very quickly. Because, and I also wanted him to be in the Letterman jacket. You know, I wanted him to have, you know, clean kicks and look like, you know, he had a future.
Yeah, like he wasn't a thug or gangbanger.
Absolutely. Because there's this element, you know, of people saying, oh, well, he was a good kid. So does that make his life more valid than one who was running the streets? Because even the cold-hearted thug got a mother. He's breakfast in the morning, you know, he dreams about things, you know, he lusts for life. I think to me this idea that, you know, saints deserve to live and sinners don't is not okay. I think for us, all of our lives are valid. They're worthy. And it's interesting. It's really interesting because my older sister, who lives, you know, she works in the restaurant industry. She has a kid. She's married. She actually just recently moved to Texas. There's this interesting thing that I think she and I both know, that, you know, people may not write about her when she's gone. But they'll write about me. But I'm made up of the same stuff that she is. But because I'm on a stage, or because the gift that God decided to give me was one that I could share with a lot of people, that there's this element of, you know, putting more of a bigger price tag on my existence. But I think her life is priceless. But because, you know, I can make some people some money or entertain people or sort of, you know, maybe bring a sense of joy, or there's an aspirational thing that people can look at and go, oh, I want to be that, or whatever the fame or whatever that means. It just always makes me think about what we as a society value. So I think to me, that's also something I always wrestle with characters. I try to write just human people and make people care about their lives. So that way they look at their lives and go, oh, but my life looks like theirs. Let me value my life as much as I value this fictitious character.
And that's so weird because, like, you're an artist, but without those everyday people, you technically wouldn't exist.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's hard getting people to believe that, I guess.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know.
Yeah. Now, with so many issues to deal with, because, you know, you're black.
Yes.
You're a woman.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're a member of the LGBTQ community.
That's right.
I didn't forget the Q.
Don't forget the T.
Oh, the T. LGBTQ.
Q. And you can throw in the IA, intersex, and
oh, see, I'm lost. I'm lost after that. I'm learning.
Non-binary. all that.
But how do you decide what messages to bring to your art when you're representing so many different sections?
I try not to think about the messaging, you know? I don't like to tell people what to think. I hate preachy art. You know, I love to walk out of a movie and have one idea of what it is, and the next person's oh, I thought it was about this though. That's what great art is.
I don't know. I did that with Bright the other day. That didn't seem like great art to me.
Oh.
I was just confused.
Oh, Bright. But I think for me, I just want to paint a picture and let the people take away from it what they will. I'm infamous for that, because sometimes like execs will be like, but what are you trying to tell us in this scene? I'm like, you tell me. The characters are there. We present the issue, or you know, I want to give good humor. I want to give good drama. I want to give great dialogue. That's my job.
Gotcha.
How you interpret it is yours.
Do you try to tackle everything at once, or you just like, you know what, I'm gonna focus on this for this episode, or maybe this for that episode?
No, I don't know if it's that. I think for me, it's more character-based.
Okay.
So I'm always thinking about, like, I do a lot of character work, you know, and I sometimes journal as the characters. You know, I'll journal as Brandon and find out so many things about him that I could have never imagined, just like for pages and pages and pages. I'll journal as Jerica. I'll journal as little Papa. Like, what is Papa thinking about? You know, what's he wishing? What's he wanting? And the thing is, and I always try to find the two wants. There's a surface want and there's an emotional want. Every character has that. So say, for example, if a character's surface want is to be famous, okay, that's their surface want, got it. But their emotional want is to feel validated, it's to feel loved, to feel accepted. That's what they really want. It's not unlike life. So, you know, it's like, or if like say for a character, their surface want, they want to get out of their neighborhood. They want to escape. They want to leave home. The emotional one is they want to find a place where they belong, because it's not where they are at the moment. So that's where, and then what I do is then I create situations that make that want very complicated. And then it's about what are they willing to do to get that thing that they want, and just putting hurdles in front of them. And that's really what drama and all those things are. So, and then sometimes there's messaging in that sometimes, but the truth is I just really want to create interesting, flawed characters that are trying to get to the thing that they think they want. And then on that journey they realize, oh, this is what I actually wanted.
Did you have a vivid imagination growing up?
Yeah, I did. And, but I also, like, you know, I lived at the movies. I was always there. I worked at Best Buy. I worked at Blockbuster. I was always around media of some sort. And I was always mimicking and like talking back to the television, or I would hear, you know, if Martin would say a line, I would say it back. You know, I was always thinking in television and characters and things like that. And then I started to create some of my own.
How did that help you transcend the circumstances of Chicago? Because it's easy to get caught up in the street of Chicago.
Yeah. I mean, I think for me, there just really was never, it just wasn't, I never was fascinated by it. Like, I never thought, oh, let me go over there. You know, I think I always felt, because here's the thing, in my house, we never had everything we wanted, but we never wanted for anything. You know, I think, and look, I had a single mother who couldn't always be home, and, you know, and I had the grandmother and I had the aunt. There was always people around who I saw who worked really hard and had sacrificed a lot. And like, who was I to throw that away? Who was I not to be appreciative of the two jobs my mom was working and the houses that my grandmother and aunt were cleaning? It's so interesting because I know that feeling, you know, that even Oprah was talking about the Globes, of like, to see, you know, and my aunt, like, I mean, she likes her own business, that's her business. She cleans houses, that's her job, and it's a beautiful thing. And I would see them come home, you know, and after having cleaned someone else's much larger and probably nicer house. So for me, there's always a pride in that. So for me, I wanted to be respectful of the family name.
Did you ever wonder if they were happy doing what they were doing? I think that's the question I always fail to like ask my mother, she's been teaching for like 30 plus years. And like, I wonder if she's happy. Like, does that really bring her joy?
Yeah. I think that's a part of the disconnect sometimes. I think because I sometimes think that when
You wouldn't have your phone on in church.
it's all good. I think, you know, there's a difference in the way someone walks through the world when they're living their dream versus thinking about it. And it's something, I don't know. And it separates you in a weird way. You're not like everybody else. Because everybody, here's the truth. I think we're all passionate. We all have a thing that we love. We all have a thing that we would do for free, but it's about figuring out what that thing is you love and then figuring out how to get paid to do it.
Yeah.
Because no one was born without a gift. I just don't believe that that's true.
But it's different for our parents though, because like
Absolutely.
you said, your mother was born in that era to where you couldn't dream as a black person. Like you could dream, but it wasn't gonna happen.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's like that song Ethel Waters saying, "Darkies never dream." Again, propaganda being pumped into our homes.
And what you were dreaming about was actually freedom and equality. That's what you were dreaming about.
Right. You know, but there were still people that were doing things that were out of the norm. Were there fewer? Sure. But I think there's this thing too that we become, because we have dreams, all of us have this thing that we like, because if you sit and talk to somebody, but then also too, because there's a thing I'm kind of dealing with in this feature I'm writing, where the male character is saying, because this girl's saying like, well, what do you want? And he's like, I want to have, you know, a house with a mortgage I can afford, a car, a lovely wife, hyperallergenic dog, and just like able to kick my feet up on the weekends. And he says to her, like, what do you want? And she's like, I want people to write about me when I'm gone. And the question then becomes like, who is right? Is it okay for him to just want to have a normal life and to live and not be trying to always survive? But for her, she wants to bend the world. I think both can coexist. And again, that's the thing of me not telling you what to think. It's about which side are you on.
Do you deal with a lot of psychological clutter? Because you're writing so many different things. You're writing the shot, you're talking about this feature. Like, do you deal with psychological clutter? Like, you have to get these ideas out?
No, I mean, my mind is always running. I'm always thinking. But I think that just sort of is the torment of any writer. You know, I was reading about Virginia Woolf not too long ago, who was so tormented that she put bricks into her pockets and walked into a river and flowed down, you know what I mean? But her writing is so eloquent and so beautiful. But the voices in her head became too loud. So for me, you know, but even like Lorraine Hansberry, like smoked herself to death. I mean, to be that young and to die of lung cancer. I mean, obviously they didn't know, but I just always sometimes wonder, like, oh, I wish she could have lived longer. But I just imagine her in a small apartment, you know, having to get it out.
What keeps you grounded then? What keeps you from experiencing those same fates?
You know, I think my love, she does, you know, there's truly, yeah, I mean, I think that is the most humbling thing, is to have the honor of witnessing her life. And her witnessing mine, and, you know, me, it not being all about me. You know, even after a long day, I say, how can I support you? What do you need? Because if it's just me all the time, then it begins to be a little crazy. But also, too, I think watching, people always say to me, they're like, what do you like to do for fun? I watch movies and I watch television. I know that sounds crazy.
Sound like work.
I know, I mean, but it inspires me. Like, I look at something like Moonlight and go, oh man, like, well, isn't that glorious?
Or,
It reminds me that, you know, that there's still good in the world, that movie not only exists, but then goes down in history as one of the best pictures in the Academy. You know, it's phenomenal. And then, you know, like, but then to see Get Out, which, you know, tears me up and spins me around and makes me walk out and go, got it, okay, let me go back to the mat, you know, and then to see Atlanta, you know, and to be friendly, you know, with Donald, and Donald and I have these very, like, I mean, he like, whenever I talk to him, I'm just always sort of like, okay, just mind explosion. But, you know, and we have those conversations, and he's like, because Emmy weekend, there's like all these parties that you have to go to, and you're like literally having to dance with people you're in like competition with for the Emmy or whatever. But Donald and I never looked at it that way. You know, we were at a party and we were having a conversation, and he was just like, Lena, he's like, we have to keep going. He's like, and he's so brilliant. He's just like, I want you to try to do everything. Like, don't ever hesitate to fail, because if you do, I got a couch you can sleep on. And I said, you know, thank you. And I said, and vice versa. He's like, I'm always here. I said, I'm always here if you ever need anything. He said, that's what we have to be. We have to keep pushing and shoving each other to be our best, because the people deserve it. They need it.
are you enjoying the moment?
I do.
Have you stopped to even think about it? Because it seems like you're just jumping from project to project.
I know. I think I do. I think to me, you know, like the Emmy night, which was, you know, unforgettable, you know, to be a Black queer girl from the South Side of Chicago, to be standing on a stage and to have all these people in front of me, like standing up and clapping, was a moment that, you know, that God had destined. Mm-hmm. I believe that my steps were ordered. And so for me, I genuinely took a breath to take it in. Because that is something that I can't take credit for, really. Those ancestors were working.
Yeah, and when stuff like that happens and you win for what you won for, it makes you always want to live your truth.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's unfortunate because I know that there's more of us in the industry, but are still fearful of being honest about who they are, because the numbers don't add up, you know?
I mean, they never will.
Doesn't add up.
But I think, you know, that one thing that we don't realize is one of us is a million of everybody else. I think we're just that special. Yeah,
I agree. You know, I feel like I want to lead by example. I think it's imperative that I be, because here's the deal, to be born Black, gay, and female is not a revolutionary act. To be out, to be a feminist, to be unapologetically Black, that you can give me credit for.
So indeed. It kind of becomes that, though. It kind of becomes a revolutionary act based off the way the system is set up. Because it's kind of, the system is designed for that to fail.
Right, yeah, and you're taught, like, you know, that you're othered, you know, and I'm very aware of how othered I am. Here come the questions.
Oh, what's that mean? Does it mean it's time for the Q&A part of the show?
Okay.
Just making sure.
I know, I'll finish up. But I feel like, you know, I'm sort of told that there's something wrong with my otherness. And what I wanted to do was to say, my otherness is the reason why I was on that Emmy stage.
Damn right.
And I just hope to inspire particularly people of color in the industry to come out wherever you are, because
If you're afraid to be black right now, something wrong with you.
no, I'm talking about being openly gay.
Oh, gay, that too. Yeah, that too. Yeah.
And black. That's like my thing, because I'm just like, people were like, oh, thank you for living your truth. It's so crazy. I was at the Globes and I'm a proud member of Time's Up, you know what I'm saying? Like that organization to really, really be a part of the change. But I'm telling you, like these women, they're like, you're so powerful, like this is so great. And I received that and I'm just like, I just wish there were more of us.
Yeah.
That were proud to be themselves. And not more concerned with making white people feel comfortable.
There you go. God damn it.
I know you don't have that issue.
Hey, man, I live to make white people uncomfortable. I'm sorry.
Me too.
Now, this is the Q&A part
Let's
of the
do
show.
it.
These are questions from the audience.
Y'all.
You were at the Golden Globe Sunday. What
Yes.
was it like to be in that room when Oprah made that speech?
Oh my gosh. It was phenomenal. I mean, they cut to me too, I heard. Listening intently. Face light beat. You know what? It was, I believe it's a blessing and an honor to be in the presence of someone who lives their life so authentically, but also so fully. I always like to refer to Oprah as one of his favorite children.
Oh, I call her God's only begotten daughter.
Yes. She smells like heaven. No, I mean, I think she just is a reminder that there's no such thing as impossible. And for me, being from Chicago and watching her on TV every day, she was a little bottle of hope. That's what she represents.
Yeah.
And to come from where she comes from and to stand in the world the way she stands, I mean, how can you not believe there isn't a God? I mean, that's
Yeah.
it's phenomenal. But honestly, to be in that room, it was, I mean, she was preaching to us. She spoke to us.
Yeah, I was mad the collection plate didn't start going around.
Okay.
Like that sermon was just that good.
She was phenomenal, and I just felt honored to be in her presence. It felt honored, and I, it was not lost on me, what she was talking about, about seeing Sidney Poitier, on the stage, and I could relate. I remember distinctively watching Halle Berry win. I was in high school, and tears flowed down my face because I looked at her and said, it is possible.
Yeah.
I can still rattle off like tonight, this moment is for every faceless woman of color whose this door has now been opened. This moment for Lena Horne and Felicia Rashad. I mean, it's like, it's fun. It was an amazing moment, you know what I mean? And I just think that, for people who say, oh, well, it's just awards and this and that, it's like, no, like, we deserve to see ourselves there.
Hell yeah.
And
it gives you that audacity of hope that President Barack Obama talked about.
Absolutely. So and she's absolutely right. Like for the little girls that see her, they will then see themselves in her. And I think that's extremely important.
What did Oprah say to you? It's not one of the questions I'm just asking. When she saw you, like, what did she say to you?
Well, I actually didn't get a chance to talk to her. I spoke to Gail, I spoke to Ava, who's my dog, but I saw Oprah at the Independent Spirit Awards a few years back when she was there for Selma, we were there for Dear White People, and she was so kind, and she told me and Justin, I watched your film on the plane on the way to Africa. And we were like, yeah. It's probably a private plane.
Private.
It was probably
No, it was
lit.
private.
Probably
As soon as you said that, I thought JetBlue. I'm like,
nah. No Bow Wow challenges here.
Yeah.
Like, no, it was like real, and she was like, and I loved it. And then Justin won for Best Screenplay, and she stood up and cheered. And I remember when I won the Emmy, because this is what they do to you, like Oprah sitting like dead center in a white suit, looking fly. And so I'm like walking up to the stage, and you haven't lived until Oprah gives someone her purse to stand up and applaud. She was like, ooh, hope. She was like, first black? She's like, first black woman? I was like, Oprah, you can't, if you heard people reference her when they're on stage, she's right there. And I was like, really, producers? Really? You got the countdown here, Oprah's there, Nicole Kidman is like getting there, other girls getting emotional. I was like, okay, let me make this speech, man. Let me make this a moment.
No, it kills me. It kills me when people win awards, but then they shout out Oprah as if she needs a shout out.
Okay, but she's right there. She's in your eyesight, man. They put her right in your eye line.
I haven't met Oprah yet. I'm getting close.
Oh, you will. You will.
Now, what kind of impact would you like the show to have on viewers to promote change in Chicago? I kind of asked you that earlier.
Well, no, I mean, I think what I hope it does for people in Chicago, and again, I don't like to tell people what to do, but for people who are in Chicago and they see it, I hope they see how beautiful they are. You know, I want them to see the beauty in their flaws, and remember that they have a choice in the matter. Because I think sometimes we do feel like we don't. I think sometimes we feel like, well, I gotta do this. Mm-hmm. Or this person got my brother, so I gotta go get them. And look, they may wrestle with the decision, but I want them to know that sometimes the thing you think may make you feel good could kind of deter your life forever. And to just know, you know, just to remember that, you know, we are descendants of kings and queens.
Wow.
And we live in a society that likes to make us feel like we're peasants. And I just want to remind us that, you know, remember who we are.
Yes, man. Jesus Christ. Okay, besides TV writers, which scribes from other disciplines have had the biggest impact on your life? Authors, poets, etc.
Oh, wow. Langston Hughes is huge. I have his words on my arm.
What you got?
It says, I too am America.
Mm.
And another great quote, I don't want to mess it up, is like, if you are silent about your pain, they will kill you and say you enjoyed it. I believe that was Zora. It's a really powerful quote, and it's one I think I'm gonna get tattooed as well, just as a reminder.
To be loud.
To never be silent about my pain. And I'm not silent about it. I write it all the time. I write it into everything. But yeah, and Lorraine Hansberry, for sure. You know, I think, you know, Raising the Sun is so important. You know, the fact that it was about this black family in Chicago. There's a character named Lena in that as well. You know, and just that it was such a beautiful portrait of Black America. And just how all these different opinions and ideas and thoughts in one house and one family, and one decision to make. It's phenomenal. And it's still, you can still put it on now, and it's still palpable. It's still honest, it's still human, it's still relevant in a way. I mean, in a way, it's almost dealing with gentrification. I mean, it's truly the root of it. And what home is to us, what it means, what the definition of it is.
What is home to you?
Home is wherever my love is.
So indeed. Okay, why weren't there any female lead characters in the show?
I think for me, I really wanted to do something a little different. I always lead with women first. That's the thing because I like writing Black women. I do so in Thanksgiving. I mean, Aziz is the only male character in the entire episode. And I felt a responsibility to Black men to really, I think the target is a little bit bigger on their backs. And I felt like there's this element, they're easy to to look at as prey. And I kind of really wanted to tell the story not from the hunter's perspective, but from the prey's perspective, and what that looks like. And I really wanted to humanize them. Now that being said, I don't think there is a lead character in the show. I think all the characters are important. It's a multi-protagonist story.
Jason Mitchell's a beast, though.
Jason is a beast.
Jason's a beast.
Make no mistake.
Yeah.
Jason goes in. I like to call him the Black Tom Hanks. He's an everyman, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I think to me, the women, and I think what I really wanted to do was treat the women just as Black women in the show just as they are, the backbone of our society. So every Black male in the show has a Black female backbone in a way. Some of them have multiple. For Kevin, it's Keisha in a way, but also another woman in his life is Andrea. And then another character comes later. If you've seen episode 2, if you have a Showtime subscription, there's another character that comes to his life, Maisha. But then also his mother as well, who you meet in episode 2. And for Emmett, he's a lot of women in his life. Most important, most significant is his mother. Keisha is a woman in his life, and obviously Tiffany, the mother of his 3rd child.
He's trifling in episode 2. Oh my God. Have you already seen episode 2 yet? Oh, Jesus.
He's human in episode 2. He's struggling, okay? But the cool thing about episode 2 is he's with his baby the entire episode. And it's
in a crazy circumstance.
Yeah. He's they're like, don't tell us yet.
Oh, my bad.
I know.
My bad.
But and then, and for Brandon, it's his mother, it's Jerica, and I think both women play very specific roles in his life. And then for Ronnie, it's Tracy. And then in the second episode, you see his grandmother. So there's no male without a female or 2 counterparts.
Gotcha.
So I don't think of them as they're never by themselves.
So it's not about leading, it's about walking together.
Oh, absolutely. It's and it's really just about the community. So I think there is a sort of thing of, oh, you're this Black woman, how are you telling these stories? But again, it's me sort of saying I can write anything. I can write whatever I like and whatever I want. And so that's what I really wanted to take a swing at it, which was also, I like to challenge myself as well. And it was a unique challenge, but it was one that I really, loved.
What was the most difficult part of putting this project together?
Convincing folks that it deserved to be on television. Because I think there was this lack of understanding of our humanness, truly. Because I think there's this thing, there's these roles that we've gotten used to seeing Black people in. Drug kingpin, rapper, singer, basketball player. Things that make people feel safe, secure. Like, oh, that's the role that you're in. And I was like, well, Brandon's gonna be a chef with a dream of opening his own restaurant.
Which isn't far-fetched. Black people can cook.
True.
Yeah.
But he's cooking hipster food.
Yeah.
He's working for white people.
Yeah.
He's living between 2 worlds.
Yeah.
And there was this thing of who is Brandon really? They're like, what is his, can't quite crack him. And I'm like, he's me. He's a Black person who has a unique skill, and he finds solace in it. And I really tried to convey that, when in the darkest hour, it's all he knows to go back to.
Yeah.
It's where he finds peace. And for me, even in the darkest night, I can write my way out of any depression. That's what it's almost like that's my other love. When my love is like, give me the cold shoulder, that is always something I can go to and write about it.
Yeah. energy is like very important though. So when you're writing in those moments, do you think about what you want to write? Does it have to be a drama, or could you write a comedy in your darkest moments?
Oh, yeah.
Because most comedians, they say, are very dark people.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, it's sort of, it's this weird. It's like a drug. It really is. And it's interesting because even what I always say when my muse is visiting, like when it's there, when I have it, when I'm just going, it's that thing of I can't come down from it. Like I can't, if I get 20 pages out, I can't, my body is like shaking. I can't sleep. I can't rest. I can't relax because it's almost like this weird baptism in a way. Like, it's like I have to get this thing out. Like even when I was writing The Shy, it came so quickly. It wasn't, it was definitely God using me as a vessel. So.
How do you give these kids any sense of hope as they're growing up?
In general, these kids, or the characters? I mean, I think for me, that kids, there's just an inherent amount of hope because they really do represent, they still have that ability to dream, They have this thing in their eyes where, but even it's interesting because with the kids in The Shy, and even for me, they're little adults. And that's how I used to talk when I was a kid, because I would ear hustle, I was cursing like a sailor, at 9 and 10, all that kind of stuff, because my mom cursed, I heard my grandmother curse, it's like, watched, Boys in the Hood before I should have, and all that kind of stuff. So there's this thing of, there's so much innocence in them, but there's also, especially when you're in Chicago, there's just, you don't have the ability to be carefree. Because you're aware of your circumstances. You're aware that you're Black. And I think, Black kids, they're a gift from God. And I think they quickly learn that they can be treated like second-class citizens. They learn it, they feel it, they see it. They don't have the luxury of saying, oh, I don't see color. They do, they see it every time I look at their skin.
Word up.
And it's about how we as a society tell them what that melanin means. It's beautiful, but it also, there's a burden that comes with it.
Well, I like to say, it's a privilege to be Black, and I don't want people to feel like, I don't want us to feel like our skin is a burden,
right,
or a liability. Like, it's
right,
power in our melanin.
I agree.
Like, I don't want them to feel like, waking up every morning is a burden. Because it's not, it's a blessing.
It absolutely is. I think the tough part is we can't lie to them about why Trayvon Martin was killed.
Yeah, you say white people. Now,
true.
Now,
well, Jesus Christ. Not all. Not all.
Now, this is the last question.
All right, make it good.
You are so accomplished as a writer and speak so eloquently about that journey. How does acting fit into your journey, and does it play a role in your future plans? It's so interesting because acting was never a part of my master plan. I can't take credit for that. I got to give that to God as well. And I got to give it to a few really lovely and amazing casting directors, one of which is Allison Jones, who is a phenomenal casting director. I wasn't aware of her legacy until I got to meet her, but she cast Freaks and Geeks, Bridesmaids, Veep, so many different things. And she called me in for a general meeting one day, and she said, "Do you have an interest in acting?" And I said, "I do not." And and she said, "Well, I'm gonna bring you for some stuff anyway." So okay. So she brought me in, and I booked a small part on season 2, The Comeback, which was a show on HBO. And then that was my first acting gig. And then Aziz Ansari said, she was casting his show, and he said,
hey, I got this weird thing. Let's not just do the typical, like you just bringing me actors and stuff. He said, send me interesting people. Just want to talk to interesting people, and then we'll go from there. And again, by the grace of God, she said, then you should meet Lena Waithe. Went to his house, walked by his Tesla, into his home, pulled my situation up around the corner. But we cool, good now though, we good now. But anyway, I went in and I had a conversation with him, and I was myself unapologetically. And they initially wanted the character to be, you know, some girl could possibly be a potential love interest for Dev, you know, they were like, we want the character to be you, because you're interesting. And we're gonna rewrite all the scripts that we've written for the character. And we want you to look like you and talk like you and walk like you. And yeah, they're like, will you come to New York and come play with us for a couple months? And I did, and it changed my life. And then one day I got a call after season 1 had been out. I think we were about to shoot season 2. But I got a call, this crazy call from my agent at the time that said, hey, there's an audition for a Steven Spielberg film. They want you to come in. And I thought, well, this is ridiculous, but sure, I'll go in. And the casting directors are Ellen Lewis, the famed Ellen Lewis, who, if you Google her, she's cast everything from like Forrest Gump to all the kind of the crazy stuff. And then Leslie Feldman, who's also helping casting the film as well. They brought me in. I read it, like, you know, just sort of put my sauce on it. They called me back in again, and then I got a call that said Steven Spielberg would like for you to be in Ready Player One.
Wow.
So that movie comes out. I went to London, did that. You know, I mean, Steven's got a good reputation with black women when he puts them in their movies. They tend to go on to be Oprah Winfrey and Whoopi Goldberg and all those good things. And it was just, you know, it was a call that really changed my life. And then I went to London for 4 months and did that, and got to work with him and spend a lot of time with him and watch him be the genius that he is. And that movie comes out at the end of March. So I can't say that I won't. And also too, I'm in season 2 of Dear White People, because Justin just sort of likes to have me around, I think. But I think the act, I always refer to it as the acting thing, which is hilarious. But it's something that I genuinely enjoyed. I think it goes back to me being a kid in Southside Chicago, just mimicking and repeating things when I was watching television. And I enjoy the play of it. I enjoy coming to set as an actor and not as a writer and not as a producer, but to be there to have fun and hit my mark and, you know, play with other actors. And I've always had a great appreciation for actors, because as a writer, I can't do my job without them. So it makes me have even more of an appreciation for what they do, and it makes me a better writer. And I think, and I didn't realize this, but I didn't know how much the culture needed this sort of like soft stud lesbian girl to be in the forefront, you know, and in the culture. And I think, you know, when Steven said, yeah, I want you to be in it, I kind of realized, I'm like, oh, like, I think there's some little black girl out there that may need to see me and say, oh, okay, she reminds me of myself, and I see myself in her. And there must be a real light at the end of the tunnel if she's up there doing that.
No, I agree. And I must admit, you really hurt my feelings with that Aziz story, because I too got that call, and I too sat with Aziz, but I guess he didn't find me interesting.
No!
But after talking to you for this hour, I understood why he finds you interesting.
Oh, thanks, sir.
So,
I appreciate it.
Lena Waithe, y'all.